Hello, my friends. Jacob is here once again, back at you a little bit quicker than normal because I had an interesting conversation with my boys Noah and Anthony this morning. They were telling me all the stories, the heroic stories of President Zelensky and the ghost of Kiev. It's the story that's being told right now, and it is like it's capturing the hearts of people everywhere. The brave, strong President Zelensky, standing there tall, strong, staying with his people. It's terrible what's happening. It's terrible what's happening. It's terrible what's happening. But they're really behind this guy. They're really behind this guy, my boys, and not just them, but everybody. And the ghost of Kiev, the fighter jet pilot that downed something like 6, there's that number again, 6 fighter jets. This is just something that I really felt like I needed to talk about because I asked the question to my boys. I said, well, how do you know that he's a good guy? How do we know that he's a good guy? I mean, they're portraying him as such a hero, On my thumbnail in my last show, I was struggling using the picture that I had for Zelensky because it was like he looked like he was smiling for the cameras. And I can't say that that's the case. I used a picture of him smiling for the cameras, and then you'll see, of course, there was a picture of a young girl who was crying. It's a very famous picture. She was crying because someone was deceased right behind her. How horrible in the Ukraine that this is what's going on. But yet everybody, we like to make heroes. We like the story. We like the movie. I took a little bit of heat on Twitter when I shared out my thumbnail. I said, name this movie. What's the movie what are we being told now? And are we to trust what we're being told? And that's the question, because you want to believe that, the underdog's going to win. I loved Rocky. It was like my favorite movie of all time, the underdog story, and that's Zelensky, right? Except for the fact that, he's pretty wealthy and pretty powerful. And did you know, this is ironic, this is strange, because if life is this big movie that we're all talking about, that I always say on the channel, you're the main character, that's why we should rejoice because of the day we're in today. Well, don't you find it strange that President Zelensky, you probably didn't know this. I didn't know this until someone shared this on Twitter with me. Yeah, he was an actor. He has a big production company too. Back in, I guess, 2000, like 15, around there. You know the name of the show? You know what it was? It was called The Servant of the People. That's right. Now, I didn't do a deep dive into the show, but the ins and the outs of the program, right? Because you're being programmed. Talk about this predictive programming. I told you on the last show about how everything that took place in Warzone, that game Call of Duty, were places in the Ukraine, being programmed. Well, he was the president. He was the president of Ukraine, servant of the people. It was a big comedy about him becoming president. How funny is that, right? Because then he becomes president. It's almost like if this is some kind of a sinister plot, which I'm not saying. I'm thinking maybe just random serendipitous events bring these things together. Just maybe God's sense of humor, right? Maybe God's sense of humor. But I don't know. Like when I created that thumbnail, I felt like he was smiling for the cameras. And I felt like the media is like pumping this image of this guy, this underdog, and he's crying out for help and nobody's helping him. Yet keeping everybody over the age of over the age of 16 to like 60 in the country. You have to fight. You have to do this. You got to defend the land that I say to defend for wars that I don't agree with to begin with. I'm not saying that that's the case. Maybe a lot of people do want to defend. I wouldn't. If there was an invading force, I'd stay. I wouldn't want to hurt anybody, though. Maybe I'd try to be a medic or something. You don't know until you're in that position. But God forbid we're put in that position. But yet, we're in this position. And that's why I find it totally strange that my boys are like talking so honorably about this man Zelensky, who some people say is connected to like oligarchs and everything else. Once again, I'm not a news channel. I don't know. Just a small little search, and I see people like Michael Savage saying that, Soros is behind him, and this whole thing that went down in the Ukraine to begin with was all part of this open society. I don't know. There are quotes, I don't know. Who knows? That's the thing. Who knows? I'm not making statements either way because I don't know. How do I tell you that I can't trust the media? Well, because of what just happened. Do you know that for like months, I wiped down everything I brought into the house like a total meatball, right? Because I thought I was ahead of things. I was searching the internet out for all this stuff because I saw the people passing out and jittering it on the street, and I saw them dumping sand and keeping people from leaving the cities, and I saw them soldering people into their homes and everything else. Joe Rogan just had a great podcast. And they were talking about this military-grade Psyop that was being placed on everybody, and that it's all to get everybody in line for something. The snowflake. Remember the snowflake at the Olympics? That's what he was saying. I'm not saying that. But how do we know that all that we're being told right now and we're being fed right now, how do we know that any of it's true when the lead actor is an actor to begin with?
President, it's a pleasure to welcome you for the first time here at the annual meeting in Davos. Last April, you won the presidential elections in Ukraine with a staggering majority of 73%. I think this is a dream for any politician to have such a majority. Much emphasis and hope has been put into your government's ability to reform the Ukraine from within. You have laid out your extensive ambitions to remake Ukraine into Ukraine. To a dynamic market economy. Dynamic market economy. We are now very eager to hear from you how you see the future of Ukraine. Welcome very much, Mr. President.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here the first time. I'm the president of Ukraine, so I'll speak Ukrainian.
Once again, I did a very minimal search because I was so taken by this conversation and with my boys today. I was so taken with it that I thought how easy it is to convince people to now say, we're going to go fight. We're going to do this. And we don't know the ins and the outs of any of this. Some people are saying that this whole thing is about the fact that they don't want to have missiles on there. Some people are saying that this whole thing, this breakaway of the Ukraine and all that was like this big cabal of people that got in there and they're doing terrible things. And some people are like on the side of Putin. Can you believe that? Online, even like people like Candace Owen saying these things. Who to believe. I think they're all corrupt. I know God's in charge. I know if God is going to bring the king of the north down, and if God is going to bring big destruction on Egypt and Babylon, the system, it doesn't seem very honorable. It seems very corrupt, especially with what we've just seen. Everything that we're going through, everything, all of these, the rights that were taken away from us. Couldn't go to the beach, couldn't go to the park. You can't go to your job unless you do something. But the media, because they're so trustworthy, he's a hero. So we should definitely stand behind this. But we don't know. Do we know? Does anybody know? In the comment section, can you tell me? I know people, like Erick has a lot more info. Adam at Marfugel, they have a lot more info because they're really digging into this stuff. So you should check out their channels if you don't know Marfugel News and Global Witness. They talk about all this stuff. I'm more looking at it from a spiritual perspective, and just the thought that my children were so ready to defend Zelensky's honor. I don't know if he's a bad guy. I like the pictures he's taken. I like him, in his, this thing. ammunition, not a ride! Man, look at how cool he looks with his cool friends behind him. They're ready to go, right? They're doing it for, Ukraine. It's very interesting. A man who pretended to be president, perhaps a puppet who is pretending to be president now. I don't know. But I will say this. When I put him in that thumbnail carrying that crying child, I did that because if he is corrupt, let it be revealed. And I find it strange that today of all days, as I'm walking out of the kitchen about this, and I'm like, Lord, what do I believe? I get this tweet. Did you know he was an actor who pretended to be president? The more you know, right? Listen, I'm going to let you go. Do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. Get yourself a copy of The Calling, will you? My novel. It's right here. Because I tell you, right now, because things are going to get so much more interesting, right now, it's so important to have faith. It is so important to have faith because big shakeups coming, right? Remember, I've been saying this for a long time. If you've been on the channel for a while, you're probably like, yeah, okay, trust me, we're going to be okay. But don't just believe what you're being told without really doing a deep dive yourself. Like, I can't come on here and say he's corrupt or not. I don't know. I'm going to start looking. Because already it didn't take me much to find that there was much that is questionable. And as I like to say, totally sus, man. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
September 10th. Mars hangs closer to the Earth than it has in 6,000 years. Like the light that led men from the East to a child in a manger, it could well be a sign of good things to come. Thomas James shall be his name. The world will change because of him. In the small town of Bethel, in a time not unlike our own, a child with a great purpose is born. Years later, alienated by his peers and abused, Thomas suffers a devastating loss. When it appears he has nothing left to live for in the world, this is when his true calling begins. While trying to escape the sinister powers that be, a terrifying vision haunts him. Miraculous events seem to follow the peculiar young man as he struggles to come to terms with what he was born to do. The stage is set. The time is at hand. The truth will rise and a revolution will begin. The startling revelation of who Thomas James is, truly, will change the lives of those around him and set off a chain of events long ago foretold. There is more to this novel than one might think. Inside these pages hides a treasure just waiting to be discovered. So if you've ever wondered if there's more to life, or why it is we suffer, then this story will not only captivate you, it may just open your eyes to a truth that could set you free. Find out what is in us all that makes us heed the calling. Click it.